It is 1:01. Good afternoon from the 104.5 The Zone Studios. I'm Jackson Williams. Titans have activated cornerback L'Jarius Sneed off the PUP list this morning, and he returned to practice today in a limited capacity. Titans defensive coordinator Denard Wilson was asked about Sneed's return before practice this morning. Titans and Vikings face off in the preseason finale at Nissan Stadium this Friday at 7 p.m. In other NFL news, the Bears and backup quarterback Tyson Bagent agreed to terms on a 2-year extension worth up to $16 million with incentives and $10 million guaranteed. Bagent has played in 9 games with the Bears over the last 2 seasons, starting 4 of those after he signed as an undrafted free agent following the 2023 NFL Draft. And the Dolphins have activated tight end Darren Waller off of their PUP list. Waller signed with the Dolphins earlier this summer after spending the 2024 season retired. He caught 52 passes for 552 yards and a touchdown in his last season active with the New York Giants in 2023. For your foundation repair and waterproofing needs, you need to visit USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home for the Titans and Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone.
Cover 2 with Blaine Bishop and Zach Lyons here on 104.5 The Zone, powered by All Four Seasons Garage Store. 615-737-1045 is the number. L'Jarius Sneed, after a day like yesterday on the show where we were talking about, we don't know when he's going to come back.
Right, yeah, because I asked you during the break, man, we haven't heard anything about Sneed.
And they were like, we'll reevaluate after tomorrow's practice. Well, I guess whatever reevaluation happened today, L'Jarius Sneed's agent got the word, and L'Jarius Sneed's agent got the word to Ian Rappaport, who broke the news that today he was coming off the PUP list. He was going to be able to participate in a limited capacity today at practice. We'll hear from L'Jarius Sneed. But this is a big deal for him to actually just be off the PUP, because up until now, we had no clarity if he was even going to be ready. And now we know he may not be a full go against Denver, but we are at least closer to him seeing the field than we were before.
Yeah, well, they taking him off the PUP mean he's eligible to be available if he is healthy enough. And I'll put an asterisk by that. And I know everybody's going from here to you, just like you did to Denver, but I'm going day by day.
Yeah. Day
by day. Because this guy's had limitations on what he could do in practice, not just here, even at Kansas City. But he hadn't played in games with the Titans. So that's a little bit different. So I would say I would take it one day at a time and see how much he practices, and then how much he then returns to practice, because sometimes it takes 2 or 3 days. Your body starts getting used to you moving differently than just running a straight line, which is what you're doing for conditioning and movements. Because I'm sure they had him doing some lateral stuff, but when the competitive juices start going, you're moving at a rapid rate. So it'll be interesting to see how much he does practice. Then do they think eventually when you get to that point, is it good enough to play in an actual game? And that will be really interesting, how they probably, because cornerback isn't one of those things where you say you play partly and come out. I just think that's not a recipe unless, he got a sprained ankle or something. But, he's either you're all in or you're not playing. And that's kind of how I see it. So I don't know how this whole process will work for him as far as conditioning. I'm a big proponent on. He has been out for an extended period of time. I would sure hope that he could practice, back-to-back practices at some point.
Well, think of it this way. He's only 2 months away from his 1-year anniversary of the quad injury, the helmet to the quad.
Which he did say in his interview that, right, Jackson, that his quad is not an issue.
Oh, that's what he said. Do you have the clip ready?
I saw it on.
Is that he's tweet. Getting? He's right. We're going to get the tweet ready. But, yeah, I don't think I would be a little surprised if he played the Denver game, to be honest with you. Just because I just don't know. And if he did, I think it's going to be a limited basis because I don't see how he can be in football shape. And listen, every player is a little bit different, but we don't have that long before that Denver game happens. And I would be very hard-pressed to find that at least he's going to be 100% in football shape, much less 70, 80% football shape quite yet. I mean, it's going to take him, even when he does see the field, it's probably going to take him a while to get his feet from underneath him, right?
Well, I'm going to say that This is my approach. I am not a therapist, and I'm definitely not a coach. There's a reason why I'm sitting right here where I'm sitting. So, for me, you only get in football shape, game shape, unless you're playing a freaking game.
So you got to have those reps.
At some point, you got to just go with it, and all the body of work of your rehab will tell you that. That's why I said you got to take it step by step, practice by practice, and see how much he can do back to back, see how much his body can take, and then go from there. He's been doing conditioning different than, practice, and then naturally practice different than a game. So the only way you can get him in shape is there. So to me, I think they're doing this to rev him up to play potentially for the first game. And if he gets winded in a game, then you put the other person in. But you want to keep him out there first and foremost when you're talking about knee, ankle, any lower body injury. You want to keep it warm. So you want to keep the guy moving around. Standing around is not going to help him. Once you lather that knee up or quad or whatever it is, I would think you want him to play. But, they may wait a game or two before they even do that. I'm basing it off just premise of not knowing anything. Everybody else goes off of what somebody's reporting to them. So that's kind of how I operate. So because you never know what somebody is feeding you, good or bad news, and then it can make you look like a ding-dong. So I could just say, this is how I go about operation and what I would personally do. I'm not there. I don't understand his injury and why it's taking this long, first and foremost, and why we didn't know he got scoped in May.
That would be...
So all of that is, kind of crazy in itself. But so to guess what will potentially happen, I would hope that he's available. And here's why I say that. They're going to be protective, but to a certain extent. And I'm going to say this. He's making that kind of money. It's time to get out here and show up. So he's going to be pressing just as much as they're going to be pressing him. Get rest assured of that. And sometimes that could go against him. Now, he could be not ready, but telling him he's ready, and then he really not quite ready. He just think he can fight through it.
Right.
Well, that could take step back.
The way that he puts it, and we're about to hear the clip.
Again,
the way that he puts it is like, this has really been the coaches holding me out. But let's hear from L'Jarius Sneed. This is a full-on 2-minute clip of L'Jarius Sneed talking to the media.
Okay.
Feels great. Feels great to be back. This is my escape room right here. Feels good.
You said at that summer camp that you spoke at that you were as healthy as you've ever been, yet it's been a long time since you made it out here. So how do we make those two things?
It wasn't my decision. It's Coach Callahan. He's taking it slow with me, and Mike, they all taking it slow with me. Make sure I'm good for the season.
What have things been like for L'Jarius leading up to today?
Oh, man, it's been a process. We've been trusting the process. Day in, day out, come in, put my work in. I'm back on this field now.
How's your patience level been?
It's been great.
How confident are you that you'll be ready to go when they play Denver?
I'll be very confident, just taking the process day by day and, get my work in and make sure I'm ready for it.
What do you feel some of the things you need to do in order to get back to the L'Jarius Sneed that you
First of all, I need to get condition-wise, get my fatigue up, It's been almost a year now since I played football. It's just get my win up.
With the physicality you play with and not having been able to practice for quite a while, how much work does it take to get that work in on the practice field to be where you need to be?
Physicality is going to come. That's who I am. I've been in the league 6 years now, and that's who I am. Physical corner guy. I just got to get my technique out.
And how hard is it for you to believe in your body after all the problems you've had in the last year with your knee and then your quad?
It's a process. I'm not only believing in me. I'm trusting God. It's not in my hands, it's in God's hands.
Is the quad done? Is this all knee now?
Yeah, the quad is done. Don't worry about the quad. I'm okay.
Are you going to have to deal with the knee and in practice sort of the way you did last year in terms of maintenance
that kind of thing?
That's a Callahan thing. It's a team thing. They're going to take care of me. It's the process. I believe in them, and they believe in me.
What do you think about this team and maybe some of the changes that have taken place, kind of around you this offseason?
I think we'll be great, man. Taking it day by day, coming in. I see the guys coming in every day, putting the work in, doing what it takes, to be successful this whole entire season. I think, we're heading in the right direction.
I know you're going to defer to your bosses all the time, but if you had your way, sounds like you would have been out here earlier. You think they've been super careful, overly careful?
It's a process. Everybody just trusting the process and making sure I'm good for week one.
What have people been telling you inside the building over the last couple of months?
Everybody been on my side. Just trust the process. It's been very frustrating for me because I want to rush and get back, you have to get back. But everybody inside making sure my mental, first of all, is straight and everything.
All right, so that was L'Jarius Sneed. He talked about conditioning. He's got to get his wind up. He talked about fatigue. He talked about that everybody kind of, part of it is he believes in himself, no doubt. Well, some of it's in the Lord's hands. The quad is done. No worry about the quad. Which kind of alludes to that it's all knee right now. The knee maintenance is a Callahan/team thing. It's a process. He has to trust the process. A lot of that. And he hopes that this process, that, hey, hopefully I'm good for week one. So you hear all of that. How do you feel about L'Jarius Sneed hearing all that? I mean, it does sound a little bit like, hey, I maybe could have been out here, and if you take these words and combine them with the words from the football camp that he had, maybe he could have been out here, but it seems like the team is probably kind of doing what's best, maybe long-term for L'Jarius Sneed is kind of how I'm taking it.
I think it's yet to be determined.
Gotcha.
That's just kind of how I take it. He says, they're going to protect him from him, and let alone I'm going to make sure he's, able to play a period of time, I'm sure. So it's yet to be determined. We got to see him go here these next 2 weeks to see how his body responds, his knee responds.
Yeah.
I would say that's the kind of asterisk I put on it. I think he's anxious.
Yeah.
But we don't know. That's why I say this day to day, week to week. When you're dealing with somebody's knee, you just don't know. Really. They assume, but you don't know. I got scoped 2 times within a season. You don't know. Everybody's body is totally different. You got to read the signals and tea leaves, and that's what they're experts at.
And every position for the knee, every position on the field's knee recovery and knee usage is a little bit different too.
Yeah.
You
definitely
put a little
know
different strain on it.
Yeah, because the lineman you can kind of protect putting braces on, and you're not moving in these awkward positions. You can get rolled up on. So it's different, yes. So to me, when you're a skilled guy, that's why when you're talking about skilled guy and you're talking about knee, foot, anything, ankle, there's a part of me, I saw pictures of Diggs' foot and what he had surgery on, and there's 3 different incisions. I wouldn't have signed him.
You talk about Stephon Diggs or Quandre Diggs?
Quandre Diggs.
Okay.
For the Titans.
Gotcha.
I'm only talking about Titans. I don't talk about no national guys.
I didn't know if there was some there.
So, but I wouldn't have signed him.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe, for league minimum, which is what they somewhat did. I'd stay away from that because it's that first year you are trying to figure out how I can trust that injury. And that's why after ACLs, Achilles, most times that first year, guys are not quite back to where they were before they left. Then that second year, they are back to where they are.
Do you think it's a little bit different?
Every case is different.
Yeah.
Some guys are immediate, and now with the way they do surgeries now, it's happened more often.
From that trust mental aspect, do you think it's a little bit different for L'Jarius Sneed because he's been kind of dealing with the knee for a while, or is
that's a good question.
I just wondered. That just kind of popped in my head because this isn't necessarily a new injury for him. It's one he's had to deal with for now a couple of years. I just wonder if the mental and the trust. I guess the trust is the big word.
I would say this just as a guess.
Yeah.
That's a great question. Is that I think he would be able to figure out if he trusts his knee sooner than most.
Yeah.
Because this is not a first go round.
He probably knows what it feels like to. He knows his knee better than anybody else at this point because him and his knee have been through so much.
Yeah, but I mean, this is still a new surgery, and now you got to get back to that trust. But I do think he will trust it sooner than most, though. But sometimes your body tells you no, and
That's
you
true.
just don't know.
And you never know when your body's going to tell you no either.
No doubt.
That's the other big thing. Yeah. That's why you see like so many players play really well the first year, and then here comes Father Time, and for whatever reason, they took you down in year 10 for whatever reason. When we come back, we'll be joined by Easton Freeze of A to Z Sports. We'll talk everything that he saw from Titans camp over the last week. Talk about maybe some 53-man roster cuts and stuff like that. This is Cover 2 with Blaine Bishop and Zach Lyons here on 104.5 The Zone.
Hey, this is Blaine Bishop, and guys, we spend so much time focusing on external wins, jobs, fitness, success, but what about your internal performance? Your sexual health is just as important. And at Edge Peptide Therapy, they go beyond Band-Aids and blue pills. Their treatments are designed to fix what's actually causing issues, whether it's low T, poor circulation, or stress. And listen, this isn't just for men with ED. If you're doing fine but want more stamina, more desire, more intensity, Edge can help you level up. Real medicine, real results. So get back to feeling like the alpha version of who you are. And all you have to do is just go to edgepeptide.com. Yes, that's edgepeptide.com.
Cover 2 with Blaine Bishop and Zach Lyons here on 104.5 The Zone, powered by All Four Seasons Garage Door, and live from the 104.5 The Zone Circa Sports Studio, Kentucky's largest sports book, and now be found at Circa Sports at Kentucky Downs. And we're going to go to the phones because we're going to talk to Easton Freeze of A to Z Sports, who's been out there in the hot heat watching Titans training camp over the last week. He was also there with Atlanta. But first, I guess we should start with the biggest news, Easton. L'Jarius Sneed, he's back off the PUP. What are the expectations that you're kind of getting the vibes of from inside the building about him being ready for week 1?
Yeah, hey guys. Our long national nightmare is over. Sneed is back. Now we're on to nightmare number 2, which is, get on the football field and play good football. One step at a time, though, and a big good step today with him being back out there at practice. I believe is the first time he's done any kind of real football activity on a football field in 314 days. That's how long it's been since week 6 against the Colts when he went out with the quad and never returned. So we spoke to him after practice. He is in good spirits. He seems to be at peace with his injury situation. He seems relieved to be back. He said that the quad injury is completely behind him, that's not been what's kept him out most recently. What he's currently been dealing with up until today is the return from the knee scope that he got back in May. And so all of those timelines are confusing and weird, and I still have a lot of questions about them. But frankly, who cares? He's back now, and it's behind us, and he has 18 days to try to get ready for week 1.
With Cam Ward, I mean, a lot has been made about like him waking up at like 4 a.m. Apparently, NFL.com's Twitter page just figured out that he said that's like 2 months ago.
Yeah, welcome to the party, guys.
Yeah, really. But we heard from Nick Holtz today about Cam Ward. We've heard from Brian Callen. But from what you have seen through last week at the game and then this week at training camp, how has he looked week by week, day by day?
I think he's been good. He's just such a steady Eddie guy in practice, and I'm excited to see him kind of go through the ups and downs of a rookie season with a team that has a lot of holes on it and is going to have a lot of ups and downs. I think if the way that he's handled his time in Tennessee so far is any indication, I think that he's going to be a steadying force on this team, and he's going to have ups and downs in his play style. And I'm sure there will be times when he gets frustrated and gets emotional about things. But for the most part, he is somebody that I think the rest of the team really looks to as a rock, as a foundation, as a leader. And I think that's something that his coaches really find endearing about him. He has, he's looked good in the preseason games that we've seen him. He's had practice days that have been up and down, but through it all, he's been the same loose, confident guy. And we spoke to him today for the first time in a couple of days. And he was, cracking jokes about fighting Jeff Simmons and realizing in that moment how strong the guy is and talking about how he felt like it was what the team really needed at the time. And we just love to be competitive. And I've got a great relationship with Jeff. And so I think he's just ready to go. He seems really confident in his understanding of the offense. He said that there's not a part of the offense he doesn't understand any longer, that he's fully grasped all of it. So I think that he's somebody that this year, if things get bad, people are going to turn to him as somebody to right the ship a little bit.
You mentioned the fight. What was the bigger non-story, the tiff or the Van Jefferson drop?
I had to write about both of them yesterday, so they feel equally dumb in my mind. I would say the bigger non-story would be the fight, because at least the Jefferson drop is a thing that could happen in a real game and be a big problem. I don't think that Cam Ward getting into a serious fight with anybody in a game is going to be a problem this year. And if it does become a problem, I know that his teammates, including Jeffrey Simmons, are going to be backing him up. So I will say the Van Jefferson drop. But even that, Van's, by the way, had a pretty good couple of days of practice. Today he was catching a whole lot of balls. Yesterday he was a perfect 3 for 3 catching passes from Cam Ward. So anybody that wants him cut, they're going to be sorely disappointed next Tuesday. He's going to be on this team and he's going to be targeted this year.
It feels like the Titans at the Atlanta game kind of made a concerted effort, and I think you guys even talked about it throughout the week, that Elikai Manor was getting a lot of targets in Atlanta, and then in the game they made a concerted effort to try to target him, get him the ball in all kinds of different ways. With the Van Jefferson situation, are they trying to push Elikai Manor into maybe a starting role really quick, or is this still going to be he still has to earn it, obviously, but this is Van Jefferson's job week 1?
Oh, I think they're trying to push Alec, and I wrote about this in some kind, I forget how I framed it, some kind of hot takes article back in May. It was like after I saw one practice of Alec, and you know me, I was already predisposed to really like Alec. He was a guy that I liked a lot in the draft process, so I just kind of said it with my chest, and it was like, if this is going to be a guy that we see week 1 as a starter, and if I'm wrong about that, if he's not a starter at the beginning of September, I think he'll be a starter by the end of September. And that might be the thing that I've said this year that is going to age the best. Pay no attention to all the things I've said that I'm sure are aging poorly. But that one I think I'm right about. I think that he's going to be a starter this upcoming month, and I wouldn't be surprised if it's week 1. Listen, Van Jefferson, I think a big part of the frustration with him and the drops in the preseason game so far has been a fundamental understanding by a lot of folks about what his role on this team is. And I actually don't even blame fans. I blame a lot of the media apparatus that they don't pay, frankly, enough attention to the Titans and inform Titans media to know what the heck they're talking about. But all this talk of Van Jefferson's one of the Titan starters because these are the veteran guys. And it's Calvin Ridley and it's Tyler Lockett. And I guess it's Van Jefferson is their wide receiver 3 because he's the only other guy that's not a day 3 rookie. But this is the way that this has been trending for some time. And they are making a concerted effort to get the ball to Elikai Manor. And I think they do trust him to be that guy. And the thing that I think has been eminently true since the moment they drafted him, that he is from a body type and play style skill set standpoint, pretty much the only true X-type receiver on this team. That's still the case, and I think that's another reason why they'll be inclined to get him out there early and often. So, I bet today that he's a week 1 starter in terms of run. Like, what is a starter, right? Is he getting a starter's workload? Yes, I think that he will in week 1. Will he technically be the guy that is listed on the sheet or is run out there with the very first play of offense? Maybe not, but that's not really what I'm even talking about here.
What do you think he has to show to actually earn that? Because, he's had trouble in the preseason games getting to the spots on some deep balls and getting there quick enough. And we know that from reports that we have heard from this week, he's dropped a few balls. I know the theme all off season long has been he hasn't really shown that physicality quite yet in contested catch situations. What do you think he has to work on or prove to get that spot?
Yeah, that's what it is. There are a number of things with his game that they're working through, and he's young, he's a rookie. This is a part of the process, but the number one key to unlocking a bigger role immediately is him unlocking that physicality that we saw on tape from him a lot in college. He is a bigger-bodied guy. He's a very strong, long player who did not have a problem in college utilizing that and winning at the catch point, turning 50-50 balls into 75-25 balls in his favor. That's something that I'm confident he can do. And watching these matchups between he and whoever's defending him in the games and in practice, you can see it. The guy's bigger, he's stronger. He should be able to win with his physicality and his size and his length. And there are times when I think he's still maybe mentally getting over the hurdle of, hey, I'm an NFL player and I'm a rookie, but I am bigger, faster, and stronger than you, and I need to utilize that to my advantage and not just focus on the details and being in the right spot at the right time and being on time and all of the dozens of things flying through a young player's head trying to keep their head above water this time of year. I think that's going to need to be a focus of his, and once he gets over that hurdle, I think there could be kind of an explosion from him where it's like suddenly one week it's like, oh, I think this guy kind of figured it out.
We're on the phone with Easton Freeze of A to Z Sports, who covers Tennessee Titans.
Well, Easton, nationally televised game. I know it's preseason, but how much do you think the starters will play in this game?
Yeah, it's a good question. And I found a really handy chart from Hayden Winks over at Underdog, or at least Hayden is who tweeted it out, and it was charting like the past 10 years of how much starters got reps with each team in each week of the preseason, which is a very nerdy thing to chart out. But whoever did it, I appreciate, because it showed me that since we've gone from 4 to 3 preseason games, pretty much the only, and this was the case last year, really the only 3 teams in the league that didn't treat week 3 as a rest opportunity for everybody were the Colts, the Jaguars, and the Titans. So I don't know what's in the water with these AFC South teams, but those 3 teams are the only teams that gave their starters north of 20% snap share in week 3 last year. Everybody else was in the single digits. A lot of teams were at 0%. They just rested everybody. So there's this trend around the league to just not play guys in week 3, but the Titans have bucked that. And Brian Callahan in his first year bucked that trend. The way that he's talking, it sounds like he's going to do it again this year. How much are we going to see from them? I wouldn't be surprised if it ends up being very comparable to what we've seen in the first 2 games, 10 to 15 snaps from Cam Ward and company. I personally would like to see a touch more than that, but you got to remember, whenever you're asking yourself how much can we allow Cam Ward to play, the real question is how much can we allow this starting offensive line to play, because you're not going to roll him out behind backups, and you don't want those offensive linemen who are critical to this year's success out there risking getting hurt longer than they need to be. So I'm going to guess it's in that 10 to 15 snap range from Cam Ward, and then we head to Denver in the regular season.
Well, naturally, some young players. This is a young team, Alec, as you were talking about. Gunnar Ham and even Cedric Gray have all flashed during the preseason. But which one of these young players has exceeded expectations?
Well, you named a handful of them that I think all have exceeded expectations a little bit. The guy that most recently has exceeded my expectations is definitely Cedric Gray, just because, I had gotten to the point where I thought it was kind of a foregone conclusion that James Williams would be the starter alongside Cody Barton. And I still think that he's going to end up getting the nod. I still think that he has the inside track to that job. But I've been really impressed in just the past 2 weeks with how the game has really tangibly slowed down for Cedric Gray in practice and on the game tape. He's playing with a confidence that I had not seen from him at all in his time here so far. And I'm not sure exactly what clicked for him, or if it's just him finally getting some repetition, because, a lot of his career early on was working through injuries, and that can really sap a guy physically and also mentally. I think we underplay the impact that missing big chunks or all of training camp for rookies can completely put on pause your development as a player. You can get so far behind that it's just kind of a wash year for you. And I kind of think that was the case for Cedric last year. So having this year a healthy couple of weeks to go through at the beginning of camp to get on the same page mentally and physically with his team has clearly worked really well for him. And he may win the starter job. If he doesn't, I think that he's a really serviceable linebacker 3 that they'll rotate in there. And I feel so much better about this linebacker room today than I did even a month ago, now that I feel good about them having 3 guys that you can roll out there and not have to worry about.
Speaking of 3 guys, Pollard naturally is a starting running back. Spears is nicked up. We don't know when he's going to come back. He's ankle sprain. You just never know, especially a high ankle sprain. But what do you think about that 3rd spot and maybe even 2nd going into the season as far as the running backs? Who will be, let's say, 2 running backs if Spears is injured that first inning? Are they on the roster, or we have to go elsewhere?
Yeah, I think this team pretty much has to keep 4 guys at running back on the 53, at least to start the year. I think that that will be, of course, Khalil Mullings, and I feel like it's pretty much a lock to be Julius Chestnut at this point because of his comfortability with the scheme, the confidence that the coaches have in him, and the usefulness that he has on special teams. He's a useful player. He's the kind of guy that you just can't get rid of, and for good reason. In terms of who's going to actually get running back 2 reps, assuming that Spears misses a game or 2, I feel like it'll be kind of a split responsibility. I do not think that they're going to trust Khalil Mullings to handle 3rd down protection responsibilities yet. We've seen him struggle with that a couple of times now in the preseason, and that's something that he needs to get up to speed on mentally and then prove to his coaches that they can trust him with. The last thing you want is for your rookie late round running back to mess something up and get your rookie franchise quarterback hurt early in a season. So I think that Chestnut will handle that, and then I wouldn't be surprised if Mullings is the guy they lean on in short yardage or goal line situations, because that's kind of the role that they brought him in to play in the first place. So it may kind of be a split responsibility between those two until Spears gets back.
Lastly, last year, I think, correct me if I'm right on this, they went 3-0 in the preseason. They're 1-1 right now. Now that head coach Callahan is going into his second seasons, what are some of the lessons you think he learned from the preseason last year going into his first year to his second year after preseason?
Yeah, I think a lot of his development as a head coach has been capital H, capital C, head coaching things. And that's a big part, and I'm writing about this in a piece that hopefully runs at A2Zsports.com here in the next day or two. A big part of the reason why he was retained, and we recently learned officially from ESPN that they considered firing him, which our buddy Teron Davenport did a great job with. So I'm glad he got it on the record. But also, kind of like, of course they considered firing him. I'm surprised so many people are surprised by that element of that article. They won 3 games and they were about to draft a new quarterback. Amy probably thought about firing everybody. So
of course,
I think the biggest reason why he was retained by Chad Brinker and Mike Borgonzi is that they see a guy who they can trust to handle the X's and O's, handle the scheme, adjusting and all of these things that you need a coach to be able to do. The management, it's the oversight elements of head coaching. Maybe it's the delegation to guys on your staff that they identified as things they wanted him to work on. And he did a lot of self-reflection, and he identified as things that he wanted to work on. And to his credit, I've heard a lot about how he's kind of a sponge when it comes to those things. He is not a my way or the highway kind of guy. And it's those traits of his that he's willing to learn, and showing his ability to be more of a head coach in the coaching responsibilities and not just in the scheme responsibilities, that have engendered a lot of confidence, I think, in him from the ownership and from the front office.
Real quick, you said that they kept him, because they're going into the next season and everything else. Do you think there was ever a part that the ownership group said, we're going to keep head coach Callahan because we don't want to fire a coach after we already just fired another coach the year before? Because then it would look like, that's not a good deal. When you fire Vrabel, then you hire Callahan, then you fire him after 1 year.
I mean, I hear you, but they're sitting there firing a GM anyways, which they had done the year prior. So, if you're worried that that's the straw that's going to break the camel's back in terms of your public image, then you're really out of touch. I don't think so, but I can't rule it out.
No doubt.
Easton, give everybody the latest update, because you just had a really good article about Kevin Winston, because there was a lot of overreaction, you could say, about Kevin Winston's injury and how the Tennessee Titans have dealt with it. Talk about where he's at currently, why they are holding him out right now, and what's the expectations for when he maybe will be back.
Yeah, I understand that there was a lot of speculation, some conspiracy theorizing, some lack of trust that the Titans were telling the whole truth when it came to Kevin Winston's sidelining a couple of weeks ago. We have to remember that he is returning from an ACL injury, and I did a lot of digging on this, both in terms of talking to the coaching staff as well as talking to folks that understand the sports medicine of this situation. And the reality is there are things that can happen to you throughout a ramp-up process, returning from an injury such as an ACL, that if you were otherwise healthy, wouldn't be setbacks for you to practice, and you wouldn't list them on an injury report, and they wouldn't be an issue. You roll it out, you'd massage it out, you would walk it off, kind of thing. That when you are returning from an ACL and those things happen, they are important enough to the training staff to get you off the field, be extra cautious, and do right. And so it's one of those things where it's not really an injury, because it wouldn't be an injury to other guys, but a little tightness above the knee or below the knee or in an ankle or in a hamstring that you're experiencing, that there's reason to believe might be a direct result of or could cause future chronic problems with the ACL that you're in the process of ramping back up to full contact with. That's reason enough to sit you on the sideline, and I think that is what has happened here.
Jackson's about to get real mad at me but I got to get this question in before we go to break. Over under 5.5 waiver claims that the Tennessee Titans make with the first wave of waiver claims allowed.
Oh, that's a good line. I'm going to say under. They make 5. I'm going to say 5 exactly.
Gotcha. That's a lot, really, when you think about it, because those 5 have to go on the final 53. What position do you think they're targeting the most?
I think there will be at least one waiver claim at edge, at cornerback, and at linebacker.
There you go. Easton Freeze of A to Z Sports. We really appreciate it, Easton. Stay cool out there. And I've just seen that we may be in for a little bit of false fall weather coming up.
God bless false fall. Bring it on.
Let's do it. All right. That was Easton Freeze of A to Z Sports. You can read all of his articles over at atozsports.com. This is Cover 2 with Blaine Bishop and Zach Lyons right here on 104.5 The Zone. Cover 2 with Blaine Bishop and Zach Lyons here on 105 The Zone, powered by All Four Seasons Garage Door. 615-737-1045 is the number. And we had this special teams coordinator, offensive coordinator, and defensive coordinator speak. We've also had Cam Ward. We'll hear from them in just a few minutes. But we saw L'Jarius Sneed, just a few practice clips from Terry McCormick over on Twitter. And you kind of give us your take on what you saw, because I thought it was super interesting. And listen, this is just armchair diagnosing or talking about what you see from a Twitter clip. But what did you see in that clip that you were telling me over the break?
Yeah. It was Terry McCormick with a tweet on him and individuals. So it was just an individual, them doing drills and doing DB drills. And he looked actually pretty good. But you could tell he was still thinking about his knee because the ball, it was only like 5 yards away and he dropped the ball, but he was kind of more thinking about, his knee. But he looked fine. He looked fine. So I'm just, they're just going to kind of build on that and see if he can keep coming out there. But that shows that's kind of actually a positive in that, he feels like I can get this done and I can do it. Then you have to follow up and intercept the ball and those things. So, I thought he looked really good, actually. I don't want to get too excited just seeing him doing some drills.
Right. It's what we got. And every little bit of information helps.
He probably was thinking about his knee, though, but he looked good, though.
Let's hear from Denard Wilson, who spoke on L'Jarius Sneed and on having L'Jarius Sneed return to practice.
Well, it's good to get him back out there. He's been chomping at the bit. He's been doing everything in his power in the training room to get to this point. So I'm just excited for the young man, not just the football player, but him, because I know the work that he's put in to get out there. And he'll go out and do a little stuff today, and we'll progress him and see where he's at.
That's the thing. How quickly can you get him up to speed with the opener now, just a couple weeks away?
We're just one day at a time right now. All right, we're just gonna take it one day at a time, and that's the approach we're gonna have with him.
The plan last year was that he probably wasn't going to practice much, and you guys were going to get him ready for Sundays. You kind of envision once you get him ready for this Sunday, the goal is to have him ready for Sunday.
That's really a question for Coach. All right, coach and the training staff on just in terms of his progression and where he's going. Right now, and I'm just excited for him to be out there. And as long as I see 38 out there, I feel very good.
I mean, obviously, he's very excited to have L'Jarius Sneed back. He's excited for L'Jarius Sneed on his behalf. We didn't get real clarity on whether or not he's going to start, but I think we can all agree that anytime you get L'Jarius Sneed on the field is better than any time with L'Jarius Sneed not on the field for this Tennessee Titans defense.
Well, we have to wait and see on that. I mean, we can talk about his reputation and what he did at Kansas City, but for the Tennessee Titans, we have not seen that guy. So I'm hoping we get a chance to see that guy. So never in a uniform in the Titans did he play like he played at Kansas City. It's never been that. Not on a consistent basis, nowhere near that. So I'm waiting to see that guy.
Yeah.
He's talking the talk, and he's still giving these hints. Like, if he's out there, people going to remember what I was, and I'm about to show you who I am. So I'm waiting. He keeps kind of laying this foundation of he's about to shock the world, really, in my mind. And that's kind of, so I got to see him stay healthy and do it for a couple games in a Titans uniform. I know what he did in the past. But that's in the past. It's just like any other veteran player. Till you step on the field and prove every year that you're that same guy or gotten better, then all bets are off. And I haven't seen it yet.
So, talking about this whole situation, obviously, he's not going to come right out of the gate and be that guy at Kansas City. And, I mean, I wouldn't assume right now, coming back from an injury, how much, do you give him any kind of leeway from between not showing you that guy and showing you that guy? Or he's like, hey, you're out there, you got to be that guy. You get what I'm saying? I don't know if that came across right. But
I don't really...
obviously you want to see the Kansas City guy, but how much does the injury play into before we see that guy or even have a chance to see that guy?
Well, first and foremost, he has to be confident in what he can do. And then once he gets out there and confident in his knee, But if his knee is healthy and he's still not looking like what I think he should look like, and then we're gonna have to have a conversation. Like, if his knee is as healthy as it's going to get, and he can play, then we got to see what you look like on a consistent basis, and then
because his knee may never be the same as the Kansas City knee. To be honest,
or it could be better.
It could be. You never know what he's added into that knee at this point.
So we don't know. So that's why that's why us as people who are observers, media, fans, we can't jump to conclusions. And when I say that is, we got to give him some games to see if he can rekindle what he was.
I think that's where I was trying to get at.
Because you can't go out there and he gets beat for a touchdown and be like, oh, no, he's not back. Naturally, that's going to be a reaction. That's kind of like how you asked that question. No, you can't do that. He might have got beat in his greatest times at the Chiefs. It wasn't like he was flawless.
Yeah.
So let's don't get out of wits over if he gives up a catch or a touchdown or anything. But was he in plays? Did he just not make the play? Is he healthy? Is his body, getting to the level that he needs to? And hey, you still going to get beat. You play corner in the National Football League, you're going to get beat. Now, it's a matter of, is your knee swollen? Did it keep you from running? If it didn't, then okay, let's keep it moving.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. That's what I was trying to get at. It was like, I don't want fans to go out there week one, even if he's out there starting and expect Kansas City.
Yeah.
It's L'Jarius Sneed.
Well, I'm going to say this. As a player, once the lights click on and the film turns on.
You are what you are?
Nobody cares about who was hurt or not.
Gotcha.
You weren't hurt enough not to play. And so that's why a lot of guys don't play hurt. Because they go, I'm going to get scrutinized, especially at the skill guys, especially at corner, like, oh, I got a sprained ankle, I'm 80%. Well, can't you play? No, you go play and go against T.O. at 80% and man-to-man and see how fun that feels.
Yeah.
And then everybody be like, oh, man, Blaine got toasted. Right? Mm-hmm. See, especially now with social media.
Yeah.
So,
where everybody with a Twitter account is a film analyst.
Right. Well, they're the media. They all know what they're talking about. So, So once you're out there, man, it's all bets are off. I mean, you are healthy. It is what it is. And guess what? Nobody is healthy once the first game finishes.
That's true. That is true.
Nobody.
All right, when we come back, we'll hear from Bones Fossil, Nick Holtz, and Denard Wilson some more about what they had to say about where their units stand in particular situations. Cover 2 with Blaine Bishop and Zach Lyons here on 104.5 The Zone. Cover 2 with Blaine Bishop and Zach Lyons here on 105 The Zone, powered by All Four Seasons Garage Door. 615-737-1045 is the number. On Monday's show, Blaine, me and you kind of talked through a couple of the concerns that we had with Johnny Hekker and Joey Sly. Joey Sly missed a kick, an extra point. Can't miss an extra point, no matter what maybe is the situation surrounding it. And Johnny Hekker, who has shanked a few punts as well. Well, we heard from Bones Fossil today, and let's start here. Let's start with what he had to say about the inconsistencies with Johnny Hekker.
Great observation. I think in the practice against Atlanta you might be referring to, we were a little bit off with the snap and a little bit off with the punt. And I think that's part of the operation practice when you're getting kind of live reps against an opponent. You know, we could do it out here against ourselves, and there's nothing that you can simulate necessarily in practice like you might get in the game. So it was kind of just, you know, it's been since last December, January for our specialists getting like live work. And I think he got better in the game than he was in practice. And I have no concerns at all about Johnny being ready, you know, in 2.5 weeks. This is just part of the training camp process of getting the operation tight, getting the timing of it, you know, game ready, and then obviously getting consistent with the punts. But I feel like, in my opinion, he's where he needs to be right now, and he'll get to where he needs to be for the game time in a couple weeks.
I mean, who are we to argue with Bones Fossil? But he says, last December, January, getting live work, better in the game than in practice. Maybe practice was a little bit worse than what the game was. And it's part of the training camp process, but he has no worries or anything. But he did say it was a great observation that, hey, he's been a little bit inconsistent so far in his punting game.
Yeah, and I think it's more about, I'm surprised in that. And when you're a player, I think this is his, 13th, 14th year? I don't know what year it is, but he's up there. So, you know, you're always trying to stay ahead of the curve, whether what position you're in or not, when you're up there.
This will be his 14th year.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So you always kind of look for that. And, oh, by the way, Ryan Stonehouse is available.
Yeah.
He got released.
He got released. Mm-hmm. He got out punted, actually, which is kind of crazy.
No, he got beat for what he was normally doing, kicking it far,
I know,
instead of the hang time, which is what he then hence did there with the Dolphins, and it put him on the chopping block.
Yeah, it was kind of wild when I saw the stats. Some people put some stats out and how the net punting average and how far the other guy was punting, whose name escapes me, and everything. I'm like, holy crap! I mean, this guy is drilling him if he's out punting or out legging, power legging Ryan Stonehouse, which maybe isn't if they were just lining up next to each other and just going yard for yard. Maybe Ryan Stonehouse wins, but obviously, like you said, Ryan Stonehouse has been working on other parts of his game, and that kind of is what kind of got him cut, weirdly enough.
Yeah, and that shows you different special team coach value different things.
Yeah.
Yeah, see, so I remember Vrabel always wanted him to say, hey, man, we want him to get more hang time and let's kick it as far as we can. Well, guess what? He gets judged on how far he kicks it.
Right.
See, most of the time.
Yeah.
Certain, special team coaches like to have the combination of both and somewhere happy in the middle. So, yeah, that happens.
It was Jake Bailey. Who has a average hang time in the preseason game. PFF apparently is now keeping up with average hang time, so that's unique. 4.91 seconds, which is the second highest hang time among all punters so far in the NFL, which, by the way, just to let people know, because Johnny Hekker is, give me 1 second, is at 4.35 right now.
With his hang time.
So, and that is 22nd longest in the NFL among all punters. And Ryan Stonehouse is at 4.58.
Ooh.
His net punting is 40.3, whereas for Johnny Hekker is 41.9. So he's gotten his hang time improved, at least compared to what Johnny Hekker is doing. Of course, he shanked a few punts as well. Don't know if he's shanked any over there, but it will be interesting to see and keep up with how does Johnny Hekker do? Because, like you said, he's going into his 14th season, and you kind of like not to have to see this kind of ramp up, right? I feel like this ramp up.
Well, for me, but their relationship goes all the way back to the Rams when he first got into the league.
That's true.
And I was listening to him talk about that because he could also actually throw the football, and he was a quarterback in high school.
Yeah.
so he can, do a lot of little different things there with the ball as far as fake punts. So I think he's going to have to do something really dramatically wrong.
Right.
But who are the other kickers? Or are there any punters and kickers in camp?
I thought there were, but I guess they never signed them. They tried them out, but I guess they must have not signed them.
We haven't seen any other kickers in games.
That is true. That is true.
So, I always like to have a punter and a kicker, just to challenge them. Also, you're trying to, you never know with those guys with hammies and groins.
Yeah.
And I mean, man, it's a tough position. And to have some in the Harper to, somebody and can work with your snapper and timing and everything else in your coaching. So that's a little shocking. I don't know if they have some guys in camp. I've never watched the kickers anyway.
I don't think I know they brought in guys to try out Blaine, but I don't think they signed any of them. And I'm talking about both punters and kickers. Speaking of kicking, but here's Bones Fossil with his thoughts on how Joey Sly is done, especially after missing that extra point.
No, I think Joey's been great. He missed the PAT, but you look at all the practice and all the scrimmages, he's probably been our most consistent specialist. So, I mean, he's hit probably a little over 50 balls that have kind of counted, and I think he's missed a couple of them. The one in the game was the sudden change PAT, and that was great practice for us. I hate to say it. 2 years ago, we had a real good kicker in Dallas named Brandon Aubrey, and his very first attempt, we blocked a field goal, ran it back for a touchdown in game 1. So his very first NFL attempt was a PAT, and he shanked that thing left. Then he made like 40 in a row after that or something like that. But that doesn't matter. The point is getting sudden change practice as a kicker is crucial. And a lot of times you don't get it in the preseason. We got it in the preseason, and we're grateful for it. And we got that one out of the bag, and we kind of practiced the timing of it because we actually felt rushed as an operation when we didn't need to. And the penalties, great learning for us in the preseason. The sudden change, great learning for us. We've gotten a lot of good work.
So he's calling it sudden change, which means that off the pick six, obviously, you're going out there because you're probably not prepping for a pick six on the sideline, extra point or whatever. That's what I assume he means by sudden change. And I guess they haven't worked that on really well a lot, but it's good practice, good learning experience. I don't know really much to take from that other than let's just hope that if there happens to be a sudden change in a game, he makes that extra point, right? Like, I mean, an extra point's an extra point.
It's a field goal. I mean, what if it's a field goal? Sudden change could happen. That sudden change is with defense and offense. So at the same time, I get it. He wants to go through the operation, being a very detail-oriented special teams coach. But ultimately, when you get out there, you're supposed to execute. At the end of the day, I'm just not a guy that's built on excuses. I know you get sudden change on defense, right?
Right.
The quarterback throws an interception. So if I'm sitting on the bench and I'm like, oh, man, we've been sitting here for a long time. And they go out there and they run right by me. And mom's like, oh, man, hey, sudden change. I wasn't quite used to the sudden change. So it's just the mindset of a special teams coach and is a little bit different than the offense and defense. So, because I get everything he's saying there, but ultimately he's got to make that. And you don't want to throw the guy under the bus because mentally these kickers and punters are very, very fragile. And so, than any other position outside of quarterback. And so you never want to mess with their little mojo. So, hey, we hadn't done that. So let's make sure we make them the next time. That's kind of how I view what he said.
Yeah, over the last 3 seasons, Joey Sly is 81 of 89 in extra points. So he has a 91% extra point rate. Now, I don't know how many of those were blocked or anything like that. Last year, he only missed 1. The previous year, he missed 3. And the year before that, he missed 4. So back in 2022, he missed 4.
I maybe asked you a question you didn't look up, but what is the average miss rate for extra points for the NFL last year for kickers?
I can easily look that up.
We can do that over the break.
But yeah, that's something that we would have to look at because I'm actually kind of not too sure on that, and I'm sure there are guys that probably have an extra
to me, the
point.
average should be no more than 1.
Right.
But I'm sure it is probably not that because I'm not a kicker because I would probably miss all of them if I tried to kick.
So last year, 95.5% was Nick Folk led the league in field goal percentage. Sorry, that was field goal percentage.
Extra points.
Let's see. Looks like maybe Jake Bates, he attempted 67 of 60. He made 64 of 67 in extra points.
Right.
But let me.
The average for the league. So he was at the top. So that's, probably it's probably 2 or 3, But to me, those should be gimmies for, guys. Naturally, you miss one.
Here we go. Okay, so there were 8 teams, including the Tennessee Titans, that were at 100% extra points made.
See, that's
so
how
there
I
you go.
feel.
There it is.
That's how I feel, man.
The Eagles, the Vikings, and the Cardinals were the next 3 teams who only missed 1 extra point. And we know Joey Sly last year only missed 1 extra point for his team. So
he got his one in the preseason.
Yeah. Well, that's it. No more after that, right? No more after that.
Yeah.
All right. When we come back, we'll get to Steve. We'll also hear more from the offensive coordinator, Nick Holtz, as well. This is Cover 2 with Blaine Bishop and Zach Lyons here on 104.5 The Zone.
Have you noticed how unreliable things have become these days? Like when someone tells you it'll be ready at 4 p.m. and it's not, people are really tired of that stuff. So if you've had it with the unreliable vehicle repair shops, come on over to Eurofix. Eurofix turns unreliable into reliable. And Eurofix has your vehicle ready when it's really ready, so you don't have to stand around and be waiting all freaking day. In a Eurofix, they repair all European cars with quality that beats the dealer and without the dealer pricing. And that's because dealer repair shops are designed to pay virtually all of the dealership's overhead, and that's a lot of money. So why would you want to pay for that? Well, at Eurofix, reliable also means a 3-year nationwide warranty on work performed, plus a rental car available with every repair appointment. So if you're tired of the unreliable repair shops, come on over to Reliable, and you know who that is. That's Eurofix, family owned for over a quarter century. And all you have to do is just give them a call at 844-EUROFIX. That's right, 844-EUROFIX, or you can visit them online at myEurofix.com. That's myEurofix.com. But always tell them, Blaze,
Cover 2 with Blaine Bishop and Zach Lyons here on 104.5 The Zone, powered by All Four Seasons Garage Doors. 615-737-1045 is the number. We got Steve on the line who wants to talk about some football. Steve, you're on with Blaine and Zach.
Hey, Zach, Blaine, how are you guys doing today?
Doing good. How are you?
Oh, couldn't be better, brother. Just got off the golf course. It's always a good day.
How'd you shoot?
Yeah, I played pretty well, brother. Shot 73 today.
There you go.
Dang.
Had a few bruises with my brother, so it's always a good time.
There you go.
Speaking of sports week, what a sports week. Got Tour Championship coming up this week. Scotty Scheffler, my God, the man is coming on like Tiger Woods. He's looking too good. Little League World Series. I'm a New York boy. My Yankees came to life last night. Talk a little football. You know, I'm a 49er fan. My boys are looking good. Purdy had a great outing. Pearsall's coming on. We get IU and Jennings back. Murfreesboro's Juwan Jennings. Looking for a great season from the Niners. I get up every morning and watch Get Up. And this morning, they had a little segment where they were talking about the best, who's going to be the best rookie quarterback. Ryan Clark, Lewis Riddick, and Greenberg, and Schefter were on. And they got to Schefter, and Schefter says, no doubt about it, Cam Ward is going to be by far the best quarterback. And his last statement was, watch out for the Titans this year. They could be a sleeper. So for you Titan fans, and I'm a Titan fan after the 49ers, Callahan's going to do a great job. You got a great coach, and hope the skill players. Have they settled on a tight end yet? I mean, how many they're going to keep on the roster?
I don't think so, but I would say probably 3 at most. Right. I mean, obviously 3.
They've always had, going back to Whitecheck's days, they've always had great tight ends that made a big difference in the games. But, hey, for all you sports folks, it's a great week to turn on the tube if you're not working. Guys, it's always great to talk to you, and have a good rest of your week. And I'll touch base with you next week.
All right, see you, Steve. I want whatever he's having. Because, I mean, 73. He called Brian Callahan he's in a great mood because he must say, I mean, there are no bad days on the golf course, but like he's in a great mood because he said Brian Callahan was a great head coach. He's talking about how Adam Schefter said, watch out for the Tennessee Titans as a dark horse or as a sleeper. And, you know, listen, I know fans love when their national media or their team gets recognized by the national media, but I mean, this defense.
That's not what you're talking about?
Yeah, I mean, this defense. Woo.
With this defense?
Yeah, I'm just not a believer in this defense.
He was talking about Cam Ward. You believe in the offense?
No, I believe in Cam Ward. I think Cam Ward will be the best rookie quarterback because let's be honest, ain't the greatest selection of rookie quarterbacks behind Cam Ward. But, like, I don't know. Like, and again, it's kind of like with Alabama, I guess, is like I see all this hype about Alabama, and I'm like, I just got to see it to believe it. You know, like, I'm going to be rooting for my team, but I got to see it to believe it. And with Tennessee, like, you know, a couple sleeper candidates, we saw that ESPN showed them some love by giving them their offensive line unit top 5 status or projected top 5 status. And I'm just like, I've been through a lot these last few years. I got to see it to believe it, that this offensive line unit's going to be top 5. Like, I understand how people get there logically, but I got to see it to believe it.
What about the defense?
I think this defense is going to be terrible. Like, you're going to have to prove it to me, like, through 8 weeks, Blade. Like, I ain't buying in unless we got consistency for 8 weeks on this defense.
Okay. Well, explain this defensive philosophy. Is that fair to Denard Wilson in that they don't have an elite pass rusher? They don't even have an elite cornerback.
I mean, that's the thing. Like, no, it's not fair, but again, I go back to.
So is that on him?
Someone's head is going to have to roll.
Is it on him
justly or unjustly?
Or is it on them?
I don't know what the conversations are in the room. I don't know how much they leaned on the staff. I think that they all pretty much. I would have to say this. If we hooked them up to a lie detector.
They have nobody on the team that has 6 or more sacks.
If you hooked them up to a lie detector. You've been saying this the whole time.
Yeah. They don't have anybody. They have guys they signed with 1 sack or no sacks.
Maybe they just need the chance.
They just need the chance.
They didn't have a chance. I mean, obviously they almost.
Yeah,
almost. Ain't gonna get
Almost
you there, man.
it's just ain't a strategy for me. Listen, I think if you hooked everybody up with a lie detector, they would all tell you there are zero expectations this defense is going to be good. I think that starts with Denard Wilson, and that doesn't start with Denard Wilson, but I think if you hook Denard Wilson, Chad Brinker, Brian Callahan, Mike Berganzi, anybody, maybe most of the players, they think they all realize it's not going to be good. But if
whoa.
Yeah.
Let me just.
Okay.
How do you surmise that they believe that when the defense has dominated the offense, who have all the big money players outside of Big Jeff?
Yeah, I would agree with that.
$9 million guard.
I think they really know that this is going to be a rebuild year, and in a rebuild year, I think once you go up against Bo Nix and then Matt Stafford and those offenses and all this kind of stuff, I just don't think it's going to be the same for Cam Ward.
Well, how are they doing their practice?
I mean, that's what I'm saying.
So what does that say about the offense?
That's what I'm saying. I don't have belief in this team. Like, this dark horse stuff, like, I get how people think about that and how they arrive to that conclusion, because there's always someone that comes out from under nowhere.
From afar.
From afar.
I've done numerous broadcasts and interviews, and I keep hearing that, and I'm like, that means somebody is putting that out in the universe.
Yeah.
They're saying the same things. I can see how you might know someone told them.
Yeah.
That's how they somebody. And to me, that is not true.
Yeah. I just think that regardless, I just don't think this defense is going to be very good.
We have Femi, a developing player. We have Sneed,
who's developing at a snail's pace right now. I don't care what they say in the media. Like, you turn on the tape, you put him in on like first down on obvious run play situations, and you may get something out of him, because he's only like.
I'm not gonna go snails.
Turtle. What's
I
slightly
would just
faster
say
than a snail?
on an average pace. I would say on an average pace.
I don't even know his average. I have to disagree with you on that one. But like, I just look at it and I go, I think the offense has enough young pieces that, and I think Nick Holtz even said this, and I don't even know which clip it is, but Nick Holtz said this defense is going to look much different than week 1 than week 17.
Defense or offense?
Offense.
Okay.
Is going to look much better than week 1 than look much better in week 17 than in week 1. It's going to look different and better.
Does that sound like a surprising team?
No. And that's what I'm saying. Like, I don't think this team's going to surprise anybody. It would be actually surprising us for sure if they were somehow in playoff conversations, like by week 15.
What about the graphic? The In the Hunt graphic?
The In the Hunt graphic, yeah. Like, I would be very surprised if in week 15 they're in the Hunt graphic.
Hey, they put like all but 4 teams in the AFC in that graphic.
Yeah. And listen, here's all I can say. It would surprise me. If they went 2-0, I would have to eat crow. Like, if they came out of the gate and went 2-0 against Denver Broncos and LA Rams, I think almost everybody would have to eat crow on that, because nobody would have believed it.
Well, if Stafford doesn't play, you're going against Garoppolo, maybe. But Garoppolo's a proven veteran player in this league.
But there's a clone of Matt Stafford, apparently. That's the new thing, is that everybody thinks the Matt Stafford that we're seeing now is a government clone from a couple of weeks ago.
Is this true, Jackson?
Yes, I was a part of the cloning process.
Yeah, it's apparently what people think.
They think he died a few weeks ago.
Yeah.
Oh man, I haven't seen that anywhere.
Yeah, I mean, it's a joke, obviously, but yeah, it was like trending or something, like Matt Stafford clone or something like that. I just let me say something. I think everybody needs to have reasonable expectations. Those reasonable expectations are 6 wins, and And listen, we saw. The article from Jeremy Fowler just came out, and the article from Jeremy Fowler and Teron Davenport just came out. And they talked about, they broke down all the different quarterback situations that have come across the league in a while. And they talked about continuity and all this kind of stuff. And they even said, like, and Eason brought it up, like, he was a 3-14 coach. Of course, he was on the hot seat. Of course, they talked about firing him. But they ended up taking a step back, looking at it and saying, okay, we want this guy to be here. But we also know Amy Adams-Strunk gets a little bit trigger happy. And if they're going to have to have a sacrificial lamb, if they go 3-win season, but Cam Ward looks good, that sacrificial lamb may be the defense, whether that's fair or not. We have seen this play out many times that there is always a fall guy somewhere, unfortunately, if the owner needs to be satiated with the firing. But your hope is that first off, Denard Wilson grows and the defense isn't an issue. And the other thing is that maybe they will preach this patience thing and actually be patient, because this defensive unit, the talent on this defensive unit is severely lacking at this point, and that's not really Denard Wilson's fault.
That's what I'm getting at. Like, so to me, if the offense and Cam and you don't win, don't put up 24 points or more, then what do we do with
that's
offense?
on the offense.
Watch it. I'm going to give you this stat, and make sure you check me on this because I'm not sure on the stat. I kind of, my numbers I can't count. 18 of the last first-round quarterbacks, first-pick quarterbacks, I'm going to say, maybe first round, but I think only 6 coaches survived to coach them the next year. 6 out of the 18. So I'm giving you, the odds are against Brian Callahan to be the head coach next year after the season.
Oh, no, there's no doubt.
Is he going to be one of the 6? Now, how do you survive that?
I mean, it's all tied to Cam Ward's development. And that's the thing, is like most of those situations, the quarterback looked like crap as well as the rest of the team looked like crap. Like that's ultimately, or there was some big other blunder and stuff like there's all kinds of issues with Eberflus. Like there's stuff that Caleb Williams was out of control that Eberflus and Shane Waldron did.
Right. Well, he was more defensive minded.
Yeah, right.
So that's
but I mean, like, there's also they should have probably fired him, by the way, before they.
But they didn't.
They did.
So it's just even the pressure is on when you have the number 1 pick and they play them early, and if they don't have success, most of the time the coach is not back that next year. Mm-hmm.
Well,
guess why? Here's why: because they think it's the quarterback was the reason why we didn't win. They get a new quarterback. Right. The owner buys into it, and then they find out, well, it didn't change anything. Now, maybe because the quarterback was still young and not ready to be out there.
That is true. And listen, quarterback wins isn't a stat.
Right.
But when you're talking about expectations for this team, I looked at since 2000. Since 2000, only 11 out of 52 quarterbacks that have been drafted in the first round, and you had to have a minimum of 7 starts your rookie season. 11 out of 52 have been part of a team that had a winning record during their starts. Typically, if you're drafting a quarterback and you're in a position to draft a quarterback and he starts 7 games for you, that means your team's more often than not a good team.
Not very good, right.
Since 2000, there have been 15 quarterbacks drafted at the first overall pick. And again, a minimum of 7 starts. 1 out of those 15 had a winning record, that were part of a team that had a winning record during their starts. And that
how
was
many
Andrew
of those
Luck.
Coaches got fired? That's what the question is.
Yeah, and a lot of those got fired. I mean, it is an insanely high stat. And so to me, it's gonna have to be that Cam Ward looks really good, and he has that progress and all that. And even if he looks really good, doesn't mean they're going to win a lot of games, because this is a team sport, right?
How did Caleb Williams? Did he look really good last year?
He looked really good, but Matt Eberflus dug his own grave by not taking a timeout and then then firing a guy and then promoting a guy and then all this kind of stuff.
That was on the diva,
yeah. So I mean, like, there were way other situations.
His stats
on
look
that
really
one.
good too,
huh?
His stats look good too.
But it was a slow start, because if you remember, I didn't know all this. Apparently, Shane Waldron was very hated with the Seahawks. Shane Waldron did not get along with this whole Caleb Williams thing. They fired him. Then they put in Thomas Brown. And then a couple of days later, they fired Matt Eberflus and all that kind of stuff. Like, there has to be a lot of that going on with it. You know what I'm saying? Even if if Cam Ward's looking good, but Brian Callahan and Denard Wilson are fighting, and then people are getting fired on the staff, even while Cam Ward's looking good, and they're losing, then yeah, you got to fire Brian Callahan, because he's lost control of his own staff. But I think that if they're losing and they're losing close games, and maybe it's more of the lack of defensive talent, but Cam Ward is looking better and the offense looks good. And they're
what is the parameters for looking good?
Well, I think that Cam Ward needs to have...
To me, it goes to points.
Yeah.
That's because then that tells you play calling, his play, and the offensive unit, because I've been saying the total opposite. The offense should carry this team.
That's what I think.
But that's the red flag,
Yeah.
is everybody's acting like the defense. Why do we keep saying defense? Why is the defense?
But if the offense has to carry the team...
But they're the better unit.
They're the better unit. Okay, so, like, I agree with you. For this team to win games, the offense is going to have to be on another level because I think this defense is so bad. Like, they may be having to score 35 points a game to win games.
But hence you keep saying the defense, the defense.
Well, yeah, but I mean, that's not sustainable. That team can't score 35 points a game.
That's how they built this team.
Well, that's how they built this team for this year.
I said 24 points.
Oh, yeah. Well, I mean,
I think they're going to show up, but they're not. They don't have any elite players at each level. So
I mean, 24
they're not
points a game isn't going to win you a lot of games in the NFL.
But you'll be in them and you'll be competitive.
And competitive.
But that's all you can ask for.
But if you still walk away with 6 wins, to me, 6 wins and 24 points a game, or maybe even 5 wins and 24 points a game.
That defense, yes, I think that
saves his job. Right. That's what I'm saying.
I don't know if that would.
I think it would, because if it's 24 points a game, that's almost 6.8 points more than what you were getting last year.
Right.
Per game. So, which is actually, I think, a top 10 defense. Give me one second.
Well, okay, because we're getting the defining lines. So if they average 18 points a game, which I think is where they were, 18, 17, whatever the number was, what do you think then?
If they're averaging that, he's getting fired. Because obviously Cam Ward's progression is not good.
But what if you still get 6 wins?
Nah, he's still getting fired because it's all about Cam Ward. I don't think it's about wins or losses.
Okay.
I think it's all about Cam Ward. And if he's coming in and not getting that, if he's not getting a offense out of Cam Ward that looks consistently good, and he's up and down and throwing a bunch of interceptions, he's going to get fired even if they win 6 games.
Don't you expect that of a rookie quarterback? Up and down?
I mean, like, I don't expect anything like Will Levis.
No, that's not.
That's what
that's erratic.
You don't win 6 games with Will Levis.
Going up and down is erratic.
No, but I meant like, okay, he has a bad play here in a game, and then he showcases 3 or 4 really elite plays in a game. That's what I would say is you got to expect up and down by a rookie quarterback, not erratic play and flipping the ball and jumping in the air like you're Superman. No.
Yeah, like, okay, 25 points a game would get you a top 10 defense, a top 10 offense, sorry, a top 10 offense. I don't think it's going to be a top 10 offense. But I don't think it has to be a top 10 offense for Brian Callahan to keep his job because it's obviously going to start out slow because you got a rookie quarterback. It's all about the growth. It's all about what Cam Ward is able to do on the field.
No, that's all obvious, but what I was getting at is, didn't you see growth out of Caleb Williams? And they still fired the coach.
Yeah, but if you'd listen to me, I'm trying to tell you everything else that was going wrong.
I don't buy into rumor mill about, the coaches didn't get along. But you know what happens? That comes out after, just like Rand Carthon, when you leave. It only is because you lost. That's it. So if you win, none of those rumors get out there. They're still there. They still exist.
But they weren't winning because the defense wasn't that good. They weren't developing
exactly the same as the Titans are going to be.
But the quarterback was having a slow start, and they weren't winning games because of their offense. Their offense wasn't able to carry them.
Because you had a rookie quarterback.
Yeah.
That's what I'm trying to tell you.
Other people are able to do that. They should have fired Matt Eberflus before.
No, but we're not talking about what they did. But the same scenario you're bringing up is right for my cause. They're going to start off slow because of the elite teams they're playing, and then now the defense has to carry him, which is the weakest part of the team.
But when they fired him, Caleb Williams started looking better.
But maybe they had to do with the defense.
What I'm saying is that there was so much going on with Matt Eberflus anyway that they should have already had fired him because the proof's in the pudding when you look at Matt Eberflus' record and all that kind of stuff. And Matt Eberflus, we're talking about an offense that was 32nd in yards, 28th in points. So even with Caleb Williams looking good, the offense wasn't good because he wasn't able to do it. And when I say Cam Ward, I do mean the offense. I know that's probably not the way you're hearing it, but like the offense has to look good because if Cam Ward is really good, then the offense will look
So you
good.
say they're going to average 20-some points then?
No, I said I don't think they're going to be a top 10 offense.
But
and I don't think they need a top 10
But you said they got to
offense.
look really good. What's really good?
I mean, compared to the last few years, it's going to have, because it's going to be logically a slow start for this team, right? We know it's going to be slow. They're not going to go out there and score 24 points a game. So if everything starts for this offense, grows and matures and trends in the right direction, regardless of wins or losses, that shows growth from Cam Ward, growth from the offense, growth from Brian Callahan, and I think they'll keep him the next year.
Not always the case. They can grow without getting points out there. I mean, they can get better. It's just that they lose, and so people assume that they're not getting better. So that's not always the case.
I think it's all about how Cam Ward and the offense looks. And for Brian Callahan to keep his job.
I think that's,
and it's also going to have to be convincing.
I just don't
Amy
think
Adams Strunk.
I just don't think it's
just
just that clear cut. Like you're saying it, I just don't think it's going to be that clear cut. I think they're going to say, "Oh, Cam Ward improved," but Callahan, if they did go in that direction, just isn't a head coach. I think they could just do that.
He would
could
have
improve.
to show that intrinsically. Like there would have to be, for me,
if
clear,
they average
clear reasons.
If
okay,
they
so
average 21
so like last
points,
year,
21 points.
do you remember the going into the ends or going into the red zone, they decide to pass it 3 times instead of running it at some point, or there'd have to be coaching mistakes that keep coming up. You know, like I think that is the other part to it. If the offense is growing, but not at the rate that you want, or the offense is growing, but he's really the reason why you're losing games with his game management or his decision making, or he's being stubborn and stuff like that, stuff that we can see on the field, then yeah, he probably needs to go. I don't know if that'll be enough for him, but I do think he needs to go, because it sounds like to me, and listen, Cam Ward doesn't make the decisions, right? He ain't Amy Adams Strunk, but he really wants that continuity between year to year. But you know, what's best for the team isn't really what's best sometimes in your quarterback's mind.
Right. And what's he supposed to say? I mean, really, at this point. I mean, so this is all he knows. So I think it's going to be a tough decision, because I do think they're going to get to 6 wins, but it's how it's going to look.
Maybe we need
if they get blown out by some games and don't look like the offense or the defense looks competent, I think that's going to factor in.
Yeah. I think what we need is a hot butt meter. And
hot butt meter.
Okay. We're going to put a little temperature scale.
No, a cowbell.
Yeah. And we're going to put Brian Callahan's face on it. We're going to move it up and down how hot his seat is week to week. What do you think?
I like it.
You like it? Hot butt meter. That's what we're going to do.
You like that, or you want to do something else, Jackson?
I want a live stream of you two during the game moving it up and down.
During the game?
Yeah. Yeah, you're not going to get that. All right, when we come back,
definitely not getting that.
With Blaine Bishop and Zach Lyons, we're going to go to Gorilla and whoever else is calling in right now.
Ding.
This is Cover 2 with Blaine Bishop and Zach Lyons on 104.5 The Zone. Cover 2 with Blaine Bishop and Zach Lyons here on 104.5 The Zone, powered by All Four Seasons Garage Door, 615-737-1045. I don't know if Blaine's having a stroke or if he's doing the zombie land.
I don't know. Is this how you do it?
I think you keep the other, this.
Upper hand.
There you
keep it still. Oh, okay. I got it.
That's a great treat for the YouTube listeners, which you can watch anywhere on YouTube, Twitter, Twitch, Facebook Live, wherever you get your Zone Team V. Let's go to, we got 3 phone calls we're going to get through real quick. Let's go to Gorilla. Gorilla, you're on with Blaine and Zach.
Gorilla, man. Glad you called back, fellas? Man.
What's up?
What's happening?
You got it.
Hey, check this out. This is my theory. This is just simply a theory that I have. I believe that Callahan, regardless what happens this year, I do believe that they will retain him for 26. And the reason why I say that is because think about how exciting it would be if it's bad football for 25 and 26 to be opening a new stadium and having a new head coach. You see what I'm saying? See, if you cut him next year, it's like, okay, we got this guy, and he needs to get up to speed and all that. So the excitement around a new head coach, if he's no good, would just it would help with ticket sales. It would help to move the fan base. It would move the needle more so than just dumping him after this year here. What do you guys think about that?
I think that's a little interesting. You know, money is money, right?
Yeah. That'd be nice, but
you can't plan ahead, though, because what if Joe Brady, I'm just saying, offensive coordinator for the Buffalo Bills, I've been a bit like Joe Brady.
Oh, you're a Joe Brady guy?
I like Joe Brady.
Oh, no, I'm not doing no more experiments.
No more experiments. You want a proven head coach.
Yeah, I want a proven guy. At least as a head coach.
Let's trade for Matt LaFleur. Let's really just go crazy. You like that? You like that?
I'm like that.
He should have probably been the head coach to begin with. Let's go to Mark, who wants to talk about Brian Callahan. Mark, you're on with Blaine and Zach.
Hey guys, thanks for taking my call. I really feel like it's going to be he'll be judged off of complimentary football, right? Like last year, it seemed like the defense would play well, special teams would play poorly, and the offense would play poorly. Another game, the offense would actually play well, and the other 2 phases of the game just stayed on the bus or stayed at home. I think when it comes to Amy, how she'll judge him, it's going to kind of be the eye test, right? The Titans got in their own way too many times. Meaning self-inflicted penalties, drive killers, and all that kind of stuff. So I just feel like I don't know how much it is about can success, more so as is the product on the field getting better overall.
I think that's a good way to kind of look at it.
I like that one there. Yeah. That was there by
complimentary
Mark.
Football.
Yeah, complimentary football, because we kept seeing it game after game where all 3 phases couldn't put it together.
And you got to at least have 2 to win a game. And they never had 2, it felt like. Even in the games where they won, it just never felt like they really had 2.
I never felt comfortable,
Yeah. Let's go to Ben, who wants to talk about the head coach. Ben, you're on with Blaine and Zach.
Yes, sir. Thanks for taking my call. I appreciate it.
No problem.
First time calling on.
All right.
Appreciate it.
So for Berganti and Brinker, the way they drafted the roster this year is mostly out of like culture guys that would build, a good locker room. So my question is, do you think that if Cam looks good this season or looks manageable, decent, do you think that would maybe make Miss Amy go, okay, this is a multi-year thing, the roster looks improved, even if we don't win that many games, if it's close, do you think that would factor into her decision?
Thanks, Ben. And don't be a stranger. Keep on calling.
Yeah, Ben. I think it has to be, but I don't know if that's going to be the end-all, be-all.
Yeah, you just can't predict Amy Adams Strunk. Like, you really can't. I thought for sure that we were going to see mass firings after last year. Like, I really thought that Ren Carthon was going to be gone and Brian Callahan was going to be gone. And I really thought that Brian Callahan was a dead man walking candidate all offseason. And I'll be honest, I am not really persuaded to think otherwise. Because I have to, again, this is I have to see it to believe it. I have to see that the defense is getting better. I have to see that Cam Ward is progressing. I have to see that Brian Callahan has learned from in-game managing mistakes of last year. Like, I just have to see it to believe it. And I just don't know.
But what makes you think you will believe?
About this season because
what do you see right now that makes you believe that will happen?
Nothing. I'll be honest. Nothing.
Well, it is.
It's just all hope. Like at this point, like I'm blind faith or hope that it happens because I don't want Cam Ward to have to go through multiple coaching changes and all that. Now, sometimes it's a necessity, right? Sometimes you get rid of Matt Eberflus and you get Ben Johnson. We don't know what Ben Johnson, kind of head coach Ben Johnson is going to be, but sometimes you get that. Yeah. You know, like, I don't know. Just want something a little bit different. We'll see. It's all hope and faith. That's all anybody can really have until they get on the field and prove it to you.
No doubt.
All right. That will do it for us. We'll be back tomorrow. This has been Cover 2 with Blaine Bishop and Zach Lyons here on 104.5 The Zone. 3HL's up next. And in the meantime.
And in between time.
Peace.